On desk lamp. So, how goes it? Progress getting made, slowly-ish but surely-ish. We're getting. I'm finally drilling into the game plan. I've been trying to do that for weeks now. I keep saying, get the game plan working, get the game plan working. But I ended up going on this whole tangent of just some basic structures. Um, just some cleanups, extras. I ended up building the roster page because I wanted a roster page. So, um, I have my roster page now, so I can filter out on the different positions. It's not great here. I don't really care for this layout. I don't know. Basically, what it's doing is honestly, I don't know why it's building this way. it's it's not ideal, but I finally cleaned up the name, so now I actually have the valid values. So 37.27 million. I should probably round that. I don't know that we need to have uh, 0.27. I guess you could, but doesn't really need to. That's per year. 0 years is actually 1 year. The person's I guess that means they're a rookie. Um, then my first link has a little bit of a blank. I don't know, for some reason the first one on each page is getting baby letters, which is weird. But now they all at least have names. Robert Ratliff, and I got Travis Schmidt. So honestly, I think I'm looking at this, all of my years are off. So it's obviously loading the wrong year's value. So I got some issues. What I really want to do, I'm trying to think of the best layout with regards to how my roster page is going to work. Okay, because I want to be able to allow people to set their depth chart. Now, like the first, second, third, fourth receiver, fifth, sixth, seventh receiver, right? Um, I guess the issue there is, what's the best way to do that? I was thinking just drag and drop, if I can get that going. Um, do I do it across the top? I'd like to be able to do stuff like um, show some stuff about the players, right? So if I go like this and shrink it, this is what it looks like. So everybody's crushed onto one corner, even though you could scroll it, but it's not ideal, right? It'd be better if this was laid out across the side. So yeah, not great. Now if I go all, it fills up, but it's only filling up to 7 columns, and then it starts wrapping. So yeah, I got a little bit of a problem there. I got some things to work on there. Um, Plus, I'm noticing these aren't updating. This has been changed. This is no longer what that is, so I got to fix that. Uh, I'd like to fix my default character. It's got a background. Everybody else doesn't. So a few things, the layout issues. But again, this is one of those things that distracted me over the last couple of weeks as I'm starting to get that in place. You notice I did put a sound effect in. This is mostly okay in my mind, because the idea here is that these plays would be able to be added. You can see that they're still using default data, so this is not valid. But how many times the play was run, success rate, average yards, that I want. You can see it's not loading up my play, which, by the way, I've had it loading. I've gone back and forth with that. It's been misbehaving. Sometimes it loads them, sometimes it doesn't. So AI has been helping me to break that. So good job, AI. Um, Now I have, this is what I've been working on. So when users visible, any default, okay, so this is one that I keep asking about. Hopefully somebody will come around and give me an opinion. Um, I'm thinking the only user game plan shows up here. What I was doing was trying to show you, I wanted this to show everything that's going to be considered in a game plan. But I think what I'm going to do I'm kind of sort of starting to reimagine how my game plans stack. Now, everybody's got the default game plan, but it's an underlying game plan. What that means is it's only referenced basically by the system at all ever if there's no situation at a higher level that covers that scenario. What that means is in almost all cases, you're doing something like you may only have first down setup, right? Well, it needs to know what to do on second, third, and fourth downs because there's no other option, right? And down is required on all situations. You have to tell it what down you want that. So you can't do something like if I'm losing by 20, pass. It's like everything else doesn't matter. Just pass if I'm losing by 20. Maybe it's viable, but it's not allowed. If you really want that, just do a first, second, third, and fourth down play and set it to play type pass medium or pass long or pass short, whatever you want. So you can set that up, but it's going to take at least 4 because you have to do 4 plays if you want something that generic. However, I also have what I call the team game plan, which is supposed to be kind of a basic game plan used by the team. But what is the team? What is the team really? Somebody somewhere creates what that is. So it's the team identity, so to speak. If you have this team, you're going to have this team identity underlying. It's basically meant to be, I don't know what I want to call it. The team is just meant to be like a base game plan that's better than the default. That's really what it is. It's a secondary default game plan. And I don't know if I want to do that. I'm starting to think what I want to create is an AI game plan. And every team will have an AI game plan. And then you have the coaches. And the coaches are probably a little bit more game plan. So, I mean, I've already got 4 levels of game plan. I got the default, the team, the user, and the coach. And I don't think that's really going away. But the AI, like I might create a base AI that just does better than default, but it's only used on all the other teams. And it may even be used on, and it's also used on your team as the non-user choices. So if the user says, set up these situations, I have 4 plays that come back. I have 2 user plays, the first and second choice. And then I have the coach's choice, which is whatever the kind of thing the coach wants to try. And then I have a 4th option, which is usually one of the default / team choices. And the higher priority ones are the 2 users. And the amount of priority that those get depend a lot on the coach, because the coach is making that decision of those 4 plays. He's looking at all the options. And basically the 4th option is like the safe, the common, the everybody does it option. It's really what it's coming down to. And then there's the coach who likes to do passes or blitzes or whatever it is, whatever he's doing. And then there's the user or the AI. Now the AI is actually filling in those other game plan options. It's not building its own. It is kind of building its own game plan. And the idea is that those AI options are constantly being tweaked by the system based on what they're playing against, how the plays are succeeding and failing, and how does that situation work for them? How often are they getting the first down they want or the second down? So I want to build in that kind of an AI system where it makes adjustments based on success rates. And so at first it might be using the common, and then the AI goes, okay, well, this is failing on third down all the time. So it puts in so the idea is that it says, all right, well, I'll put in a third down option to try something else. Like it'll follow maybe the coach's theory, and the coach will build up this game plan. But that only works if it's not a user's game plan. User game plan doesn't get overwritten, it doesn't get changed, doesn't get tweaked. The coach, however, can make in-game choices to tweak the game plan. So he's going to use your game plan, but he might start adjusting or tweaking certain things, but it's only going to be his choice, his one choice, and then he'll make a decision from the user. So basically, there's never going to be a point where he changes the user's game plan, but he might change the team game plan. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. It's like the idea is that there's a base AI game plan that this is why I'm struggling with it a little bit, because I got to lock this down, right? Because as I get to the point where these things start becoming a little bit more dynamic, right now I'm just creating the basics so that it works and I can run it. But what I need to do is come up with a form or attack for this that says game plan is a dynamic thing. So are just my coaches going to do it? And really it's just you and the coach's stuff. You get your stuff and then the coach does his stuff. And then when it's just AI, I feel like I want AI, and I just say AI, it's not, well, it's probably not going to be AI like true AI, like we're doing out there with our LLMs and the world is doing. But it's going to be logical updates and changes, which is meant to be able to have the AI adjust. And maybe it adjusts, and each one will adjust slightly different. So I have these processes that'll run, that'll make, okay, well, do this, do this, do this. And I want it to update and change and tweak. And basically you're playing against other artificial users. I should call them the artificial user plans, not artificial intelligence, because it's really meant to be kind of a built-in kind of AI thing. So you're playing against them, but when you own a team, that doesn't happen. So all of that artificial intelligence stuff is not happening for your team, ever. If you don't build a game plan, you've got the coach and you've got the default, and that's all you get. And I was kind of thinking that the problem, see, I'm trying to think how the coaches will follow they're unique not to a league. They're unique to the game, to the system. So if you take Joe Coach and you have him on your team, the whole point of Joe Coach would be to adjust for your team, right? So he can't really change his own personal architecture. He has to change his game plan. So what I'm thinking is maybe the team game plan is the one the coach adjusts always. So maybe the coach just, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm zeroing in on what I want this to work, because that means the coach is an AI, so to speak, and it guides where the team game plan goes, which is really not a team game plan so much, but it's like I'll build these team game plans, which I should call them the AI game plan, and they are their own thing, right? But you don't technically view that. That's the coach's thing, and then you have your own. They're like separate, and the coach will pull from his own game plan, which is also got the underlying default, and yours will also use the underlying default. Yes, I like this. I like where this is going, as my brain is starting to solve this problem. Now I will be able to see it. So if I go here, I'm supposed to be able to click here. There won't be much to see here because I can't tell if they're working. This is the only one I know it works. Okay, so that doesn't work. It's not doing it. Let's go see what the console is saying, because something's supposed to be happening here. Let's clear this and see what changes when I click on these guys. All right. I'm not, am I supposed to have, what is this called? Add edit situation panel. No, it's the filter admin edit panel. All right, so this should have admin edit panel on it somewhere. Offense, defense, special teams, game card, add edit situation. All right, I think there's a, that might be the problem here. I feel like maybe we're not, maybe I don't have a serialization for this, because I don't see a link. How is it getting this panel? How does it even know if it's being searched? Yeah, I think we may have a missing piece. What do you think? Yeah, what's your opinion on this? Perhaps we have a missing piece. Looking at the game plan UI manager. At the game plan UI manager. What do I call it? Serialized fields. I don't see a reference requirement for the admin edit panel, which has the edit default edit team edit user functions. So how is the script able to respond to the selections? All right, so we'll see what AI comes up with there. But I've got a number of things. I've been tweaking, getting things cleaned up. I still have stuff that's not quite working as I expect. Like, for example, my log off is not logging off. It was. This is what's frustrating. Sometimes I'll click on things and I'm like, how come it worked the last time I started it? I mean, I do this or that. Okay, so I did go through and clean up. I say clean up, but sometimes clean up for me is break. It's not always what it's supposed to be. It's like, I'm like, oh, this ain't supposed to be there, and that's not supposed to be there, and I start deleting code, which 99% is exactly right. But sometimes I like, okay, well, if you get rid of certain like middle clutter code, sometimes that disconnects the two pieces that are relative, and you got to actually reattach to the correct piece. So sometimes I'll like, okay, so I see this and I'm like, why isn't this just calling this? Why is it going through this? And this big old bunch of stuff I don't need. So I delete the bunch of stuff I don't need, and sometimes I'll forget to plug this into this because now they're not calling the path is broken. Sometimes I've done that. That's not always the case, but sometimes. Or other times I'm like, I realize this is calling the wrong method. So I get rid of it because this other one here is calling the correct method. And I'm like, oh, so we had redundant code. So I just dumped the redundant code, but it was referencing the redundant code, not referencing the correct code. And again, I had to go clean it. So stuff like that happens. So there's a lot of times when I'm just not connecting stuff. Sometimes I'll incorporate AI and go, what did I do? And other times I'll just go in there and step through and go, oh, I did this dumb thing. Or sometimes I'll add a new feature or functionality that adds a panel that blocks everything. I'm like, what is going on? It's probably because I'm blocking everything. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes I just kind of get things to jump off the tracks. Uh-oh. My voice feels a little weird. Not like... It feels a little bit like it's getting a little hoarse. Now, you can't hear it, but I can feel that little, like... It's not good. I'm in a play this weekend. I have 4 showings. I cannot have my voice go wonky on me during the show. Honestly, that might preclude me from doing too much streaming today. I'm trying to shorten my streams. If you notice, the last couple of streams have been less than 2 hours. And even if I do more than one in a day, I'm actually trying to get them down to less than an hour. Bite-sized stuff, you know, and try to accomplish one little thing in everyone. Everyone. And sometimes if I accomplish a little thing, that'll be my cutoff. I'll go, okay, well, you know, next time I do blah. This way I can talk. You can get some gabba out of me. But that's what I do when I'm streaming a lot. I do a lot of gabba. It's not always progress. Most of my progress happens offline. So a lot of times I'll come back and you'll be like, oh, that's working now. Or, that wasn't working before. It's because I went and fixed it all and I did it all offline. Sometimes I get things working online, but not always. Anyway, let's see what AI came up with. Let's see. Now game plan has the admin controllers light up. Let's see. Now let me add the admin controller to the game. You're right, there's no connection between the admin edit panel toggles and the game plan UI manager. Let me check handles this and see if there's an existing pattern to follow. Blah, 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 blah. I see the pattern for AI serialized fields for the admin panel and toggle buttons. Let me add. Okay, so that means I should be able to go to game plan here. Let's see. First of all, I'll go here. It says it did something. So we're going to find out. So theoretically, if it did do something, I'm going to go over to game plan here. Go to the content panel, and it should have an add edit panel. It does not. It does not. Do you see add edit panel? That's add edit situation, not the same thing. Wait. Oh, there's 2 reasons why it wouldn't show up. 1, it hasn't compiled yet. 2, I'm in run mode, which I should not be in run mode. Oops, I'm expecting it to do stuff while in run mode. It's not going to work. And 3, there's a compile error. If there's a compile error, it won't update either. So I got to close this. That's not going to work. All right, so aha! There it is. Well, that's interesting. Why do I need both the parent if I'm clicking the options? Why do I need the parent? If I am providing the options, the toggles in the panel, why do we need the what is the admin edit panel reference used for? Actually, I bet I know. I'm guessing the admin edit panel here is probably being used to determine if those options even exist. But I would imagine they exist always. I mean, even when they're hidden, they should still exist, and you're still on user. User's still set. So I would think you don't really need to. Well, let's see what it says. But I still think that that's not necessary. All right, so we're going to go to game plan here, and I'm going to go down to my add and edit panel, and then we're going to go system default, which is the default. And then we're going to go to team, which, by the way, I'm really thinking it's not going to be team. I'm leaning strongly on that no longer being team. Oh, that's used to turn it on and off. Oh, okay. That's right, because if the user's not an admin, we don't show this. So, answer solved. Or answer provided. Okay, so we'll do this. We're good. Okay, so now we have the admin controls. Let's see if things actually... Oh, I didn't even know it put these icons on it. Yes, I knew these icons are there, but that just felt to me in my brain like that's what those are. But I didn't see that it had these options. I don't have a loading indicator. I haven't decided I need that, so I haven't put it on. I don't even know if it works. I'm guessing it's just an image that pops up while you're doing your thing. There are places that have loading, but I don't think it takes that long to load. So it's like, what do I need it for? Says me. So you'll notice I changed my my viewport a lot. So sometimes I'm working with the square, sometimes I'm working with the narrow, and sometimes I'll jump back and forth. It's all about trying to make the game dynamic enough to fit on multiple screen shapes. And personally, I want to see if I can get the game to work when you open a foldable phone. A lot of games make you reboot the app. And it's because those games are not designed to work with a foldable phone. The reason they do that is so that they can go, oh, you're changing your aspect ratio. Let me give you whatever code I have in here that adjusts for the aspect ratio, which, by the way, a lot of these games on the mobile, you may have noticed, don't work well on a fold. If you have a fold, a Samsung Fold, or I don't know about the other ones, I think it varies on how much they work, you'll notice that some buttons get cut off all the time because these games are not designed to fit aspect ratios. They're not dynamic. They don't adjust themselves. And this a lot comes down to what I am desperately trying to avoid and why I've created some custom functions and scripts. Unity, if you develop an app in Unity, will, when you make adjustments, stretch. Okay, so for example, the rect transform, when you do a stretch on an object, it makes it shape to whatever the size is. But that doesn't always work. Sometimes you need to put it, you don't want it right against the side of the panel or the space that it's in, so you shrink it. And the way to do that is you adjust the surrounding areas, like the left, the top, the bottom, the right, and that pushes the thing around and changes its shape based on how far it is from the left, right, top, and bottom. Problem is, that's pixels. So when you change your aspect ratio, those pixels are fixed. So you end up getting buttons that get too tiny, or they get squished, or even get broken. So the other option is you don't use stretch and use fixed pixel size, which keeps the object the correct size at all times. It'll stay the same size no matter how big or how small your app gets, in dimension. So that's also got its own problems, right? Because sometimes something is too big for a smaller screen, but too small for a big screen. And it'll look out of place. And so you're trying to figure out, well, where do I put this? Well, again, even when it's fixed size, you have to say where it's going to set. So you'll set it like, okay, well, it's fixed dimension, top or bottom, or left or right, or both. And then you put it somewhere and it's going to sit in that spot no matter what. So it's, again, a lot of that is pixels. How far off to one direction are you? And when you divide, anytime you set it by a fixed value like pixels, they stay that amount. Now, I created a script that's called %rect transform, which basically says, instead of being a fixed shape or size, stay the same percentage from the top, bottom, left, and right. You adjust which way you want to go, and you stay the same percentage away. So my buttons can always be X amount of space from the left, right, top, and bottom, which changes their shape and size some. But I also have another one that's used by the sim page. This one. All my buttons stay the same size, but proportionally they move. So they stay in different locations. Like you'll notice when I go into a large mode, see, they're still in the exact same place, but spread out according to my UI. That is what all my objects should do in most cases. In some cases, I want it to stay a certain size. So all my buttons essentially are always, they're set to stretch, but they don't get broken because they stay in an exact space inside the square. So what that means is I've got an option or a thing going on these guys called anchor positioner. The difference between anchor positioner and my percent rect transform is this only has horizontal and vertical percentage, which basically means be 18% from the left. So you decide where it's going to come from. Top left, it'll be 18% from the top left corner, horizontally speaking, and then vertically it'll be 50%. So it's going to take that object and just move it into that position. Doesn't matter how big it is, it just always moves it into that position. So the only thing changing, so I have width and height, which are fixed, keeping my button from breaking, but this guy will adjust the X and Y, always moving it to the right place on the screen. So my buttons never change size, but they change position based on my screen. So it just makes things a little bit more accurate for my purposes, and always keeps them proportional, which means I can put them on any screen size. To a point, it can still break, trust me, if the screen is the right proportion of crap. Which I say crap because it breaks my stuff. If it's breaking my stuff, the screen is crap. It's nothing to do with my coding. But the idea is to give me a maximum variation. And the idea is that on a fold, especially Samsung's phones, they're really skinny. They're skinnier than most phones. Proportionally speaking, they are probably thinner than almost any phone. I mean, it's kind of hard almost to use this. But sometimes I want to do basic stuff. I want to do something and I don't necessarily want to get involved. But like I do, sometimes I'll get caught up in a game and I want to open it. But now I got to wait for it to restart. It'll go, oh, you need to restart this. It's not, I'm not ready for you changing your dimensions. I want to be able to adjust that so that when mine works, like Marvel Snap will actually adjust. Some games, very few games do it because they made some effort to accomplish that. Most games will just kind of break or make you reboot them. And a game like The Program, a football game, college football game, which I play, makes you restart, but it's not designed for the open version of a phone. So even though it looks good and you can do almost everything, I think you could probably do everything, but some of your buttons are like half off the screen. They're almost off the screen. And there are things that I have to actually, there's a few things I run into every now and then. I have to close the phone, restart it, to see everything because there's something on the bottom that's not showing up and I need to do that thing. So I have to click on it and it'll work on here fine. It'll work great on a high, long portrait view phone. I am building my app landscape. You ask, why? Why aren't you building it for portrait? I just found that it's better. Is it better? I don't know. I may be wrong about that. I'm leaning, I go back and forth. So there is debate. Will I change my mind at some point? Well, the theory is it would take very little effort to adjust for that. But I don't know yet that it's going to be dynamic enough. Like, for example, if I flip this over to portrait, this screen mostly works. But look what it does to my background. So my background gets kind of squonky. But it does work for the buttons. But that doesn't apply to everything. Like if I go here, things get really squished. In fact, it's so bad that my minimum sizes don't fit. And you won't be able to read the game plan at all. There's just too much columnar data. There's too many columns and too much information that needs to go into those columns for it to show up on here correctly. It can't lay itself out right. This is part of it. And that's partly because you just have too many things. And I don't like to have columnar data, but because it doesn't look very gamey. But there's only so much you can do. And situation is the one place I had, so far it's the one place I can't figure out how to do it in a non-spreadsheet manner. So you're just going to have to, that's going to have to be one of the few spots. But then you go look at things like roster. Again, this kind of sort of would work. I mean, you know, it shows it all. Everybody gets their stuff. It just lists down, and we're pretty good, right? That would probably be doable, functional, if I had it to be. Then we look at the playbook. Again, probably would work, but I still don't know how I would get game plan to work. So, you know, it's a hit or miss. Now, if I go to account. Again, account was never defined to handle any kind of change, by the way. It's not a dynamic page at all. I've never tweaked it. This is one of those things that's going to have to get tweaked at some point. But if I rotate it back to this way, it works fine because there's plenty of space. And it fits. So it's been designed to fit, but what it's not designed to do is adjust. So, which basically just means it's always it's always going to be a certain dimension. So there you go. There's I don't know who. Why do I have two of these? I don't know. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, it's my parents are saying they're coming to my play. No pressure. No pressure. Pressure. That's okay. I'm all right with it. I think it was a bigger deal the first time I did it, and I actually choked. One night I choked. My brain froze. I lost it. I had no idea what I was supposed to say. I just kind of stumbled through it. Luckily, I only had one big dialogue, and I did the other parts fine, but I had one big dialogue. I broke completely, and I had to, I sort of kind of in a way got through it, but I don't, yeah, it was bad. It was traumatic. I say it was traumatic because I still think about it. It's still there, and I'm like, don't let that happen again. Don't let that happen again. I don't overthink it during, though. I've got it down to the point my lines are really good right now. I think I'll be fine. Plus, you know, you got to get used to having people watching you. I know I talk a lot on screen, but sometimes. So anyway, let's go see what my game plan is. Supposedly, okay, so I should be logged in, and it should be showing that I'm an admin. Am I not an admin? Did I not set this guy up as an admin? Who am I logged in as? This guy is an admin. Kyle is an admin. I know Kyle is an admin. So something broke there because it's not letting me see my, let's see if it's correctly reading this. No, it's not. Okay. So let's see what happened here. Let's go to Teams or data. We'll go down to users. Users, the last thing. It's user 6. Kyle, it's an admin. Okay, so dum 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 dum. I loaded game plan with an admin account. User type admin in the database, but when but the admin edit panel is now hidden. So I can't test that because it broke it. Let's see if I can do anything here. Is authenticated. Is authenticated. Check. Has token. Is not expired. False. Result. Log out button. Starting log out process. User logged out. Is authenticated. False. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so a couple. So it does look like it broke the authentication. So it should allow me to. Should force me to log in again. But it, as you can see, my log out button did not function the way it's supposed to. So let's go look at the user account. All right, so user account, content panel, should have stuff on it. Where's all my stuff? You know what, I'm gonna move this. Oh no, that's scroll vertical, that's fine. That's not... why do I have a notification panel inside? What is this thing? Notifications panel? What is that? Huh? Oh, this must have been a copy paste. I didn't even realize I changed. This is just the user. I don't know, what is that? This is the content, the whole content, which by the way is kind of weird because it shouldn't be that big. I think content is supposed to stay within the square, so that's a problem. Let's go look at this one quick. Yeah, content is supposed to be that guy. And what is this guy? Content. I say we're gonna go here, turn that off, and then we're gonna go to content here. Oh, I guess that guy is showing correctly. Okay, never mind. I still know what this is though. That is, oh, you know, it's not supposed to be notifications panel. I think what that's a, oh, it's notifications panel. It's not, it's notifications, not navigation. This is for like, do I want to get emails? Do I want to get, what do you call it? Push notifications. Okay. So the game's gonna have push notifications where, when you are challenged, when your team is getting challenged, it'll say, hey, your team has been challenged and game started, you know, a few seconds ago or whatever, started at blah. Or it'll be something like challenge kickoff or whatever. I'll come up with some sort of text. It'll notify you. And then you can click on it and it'll open the game and you can go watch your team play against whoever challenged it. This is for quick play games. You can actually go watch a quick play game in progress. Because quick play games run 5 to 10 minutes. You may or may not want to go watch it, but maybe you will. I haven't decided how long they're going to be. Honestly, I think about 10 minutes. A game will run about 10 minutes. It's not going to be like The only games you can run faster than 10 minutes will be AI leagues, where you don't challenge anybody else. Everybody else is every other kind of game, but there'll be benefits to making real challenges, playing against real people, or even against AI versus quick play or any of the other quick play things. There'll be benefits. Like your team you can get some experience sometimes for in-league play, or you can get collection points for just your guys' playing time. Um, and you get to be on like it'll let you do ladder play. You'll get overall quick play records, that kind of thing. It'll it will allow you to um, get something out of those quick play games. It's not just it's like Marvel Snap right now. They don't track anything. I mean, they may track it on the back end, but they don't tell you what your deck's record is or anything like that. And the program is nothing. It really gives you like no. If there's any information in there, I haven't figured it out. Like historical information, like how have you done? You can't go back and look at games from the past or even records or there's a limit to what I'd expect to see from games. But like scores, I mean, why can't you go back and look at scores? I don't necessarily expect to see all the stats from every game in history, but there's still some stuff that needs to be stored. Or at least I think so. I mean, how do you keep track? Like, I need to come up with things like all time blah 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 and all time blah blah blah, right? Well, if I just track the all time and dump the stats, then the problem with dumping stats is maybe I come up with a new all time. It's like, how do I do that? Because some of those stats would be gone. I can't regenerate the stats. So there's that. I don't know. There's a limit to what I can do all time stuff. Maybe player leagues or maybe they keep more data. I don't know, something. Maybe it's one of those that you only start tracking when the ability comes in. It's only all time since whenever. Kind of like now, right? The NFL only has some stats that they've tracked. So you can't have the all-time tackle breaking leader who broke the most tackles in a season because they've only recently started trying to track that stuff. It's like they can, technologically speaking, they didn't even have that ability. Some things are just things like most sacks in a season. I think they've only been tracking, they haven't even tracked that since the beginning of the NFL. That's one of those things. They've been adding a lot of stats over the years. And okay, there may have been guys in the early 70s that did something more than current guys, but they don't know because they weren't tracking it. They didn't have any points, and you can't go back and look because many of those games don't exist. I think they could get some if they wanted to manually. They'd have to go back and run a game on tape and then go, how many sacks did they get? And go through entire seasons of careers and and I think there are some efforts to capture some old stats where you can, but it's probably pretty slow going to have that stuff till they get AI to do it. Okay, so what did it solve for me here? I did ask it about a problem. What was it? Let's see. Alternative replace or something. What was added? Proto. Go back end. Unity model. Oh, what happened? Important. You'll need to regenerate the code proto files for the backend changes to compile. Oh, what was my? Is admin is edit. I see. Is admin is never being set in the load session from backend. The backend session response likely has a user type field, but it's not being used. The get user session response model doesn't have a user type field. Get user type method, but doesn't include user type and get user session. It's the added to user session response. Get user session response. Let me add user type to the proto and then update. Why are you using snake case and proto? You know, I have yelled at Claude. In fact, I've yelled at all of these AIs to stop using snake case. I hate snake case. It sucks. It's terrible. Anybody who likes snake case deserves a slap in the face. And I have coding instructions for all of them, for Copilot, for Claude, for Bezi, but Bezi doesn't work on the back end. And I said, don't ever use snake case. Now, there are places where I use underscores, but it's not true snake case because a lot of times I'll combine the words before it. The only time I use it is a separator to like group stuff together. Like, for example, my test files. They have to have underscore test after them because that's just what they are. It's not a snake case thing. It's a way to tell the system these are test files. So you kind of have to have underscores. So the stuff before it might be camel case, or it's mostly just lowercase, which is what snake case is. It's all lowercase with word spacing with underscores. Word separation with underscores. But I despise it. Now, file names, sometimes you have to have it. Like you see this, which I'm not sure, what the heck. Whatever that test user is. Why is that even there? That must have been, I have to keep an eye out for stuff like that. That's part of the testing process, but apparently it didn't delete it. User abo. User abo. Okay. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Let's see here. I think I have. Let's see, all changes applied. Oh, it's trying to fix common crap. Test user. I don't know where test user is being created though. But whatever it is, it's not working correctly. All right, so I have to restart some stuff, which I believe is about game plans. So we got to stop the user account. Gonna have to stop gateway. And I don't know, do I need anything else? Is that it? Do I just need to stop those two? User account. Yeah, I think that's it. And then we're going to go Control Shift P. Let those get restarted. Oh. It's really hard to tell. Sometimes. It's really hard to tell where one starts and the other ends. All right. I wonder why this keeps fetching. Oh, I gotta fix this. That's not good. All right, so it took a long time to restart those. Usually they're pretty fast, but stuff is kind of moving slow at the moment. Let's go back here and look at this. How long is it doing that? Like every 10 seconds? No, it's like every second. Doing it a bunch of times. This is like constantly in a loop. That's probably why things are going downhill for me here. That's definitely not good. All right, system logging. Okay, so we have user account is now, oh, user account blew up. You broke my stuff, Claude. And does that in Gateway's not compiling? No, Gateway's fine. Okay. So, as you can see, I do use AI quite a bit. It's definitely it's probably doing 80% of my coding. And then my 20% is a lot of times just fixing what it broke. But still, 80% of... So I did finally do a recent update to my line counts. And it's definitely gone up. Let's see if I can find my my line counts page information. Somewhere under the rainbow, way up high, gameplay flow, skill, design. I have no idea where I put it. Gosh darn it. I would have thought. Testing, game plan, seasons, potential leagues, play mode. Oh, here we go. Let's go here. Oh, here it is. Clock line counts. All right, so here, I'll show you what I got. So back in May of last year, I had roughly a total of 110,000 lines of code. Pretty decent, you know, whatever. This is kind of the majority of what I had. This is mostly my code, right? This stuff I've actually created, which is only about 44,000 lines of code, Go plus C#. Along with, I did create some JSON files and JSX files. The JSX is the web portions of the app. So even if we count all that, we're still looking at only about 50,000 lines of actual code. Yes, I was also the YAML and the CSS, and some of these other things are probably mine too, but they're small amounts. So, but I feel like overall, about half this is mine. And what the other, I don't know what I have 20, I don't think I have 12,000 JavaScript files, or JSX files, no, 6,000 JavaScript files, JSX files, and 12,000 JavaScript. I do have some, but some of this stuff I think was created kind of as a support mechanism to the React application. It's just that determining which ones are which is kind of hard. So I think it's fair to say in May of last year, maybe 60,000 lines of code was written for the app. Now, granted, all this stuff had to be written for it to work as well, but it wasn't me. And if I was coding on my own self, it's the 60 or so thousand lines of code. Now, I just did it again in January. And again, taking out a lot of the system files and how it's set up. Now we've more than doubled that. I'm at about 133,000 lines of code. Plus, you know, I've got a little bit more JavaScript, which is what, 150. Markdown files are mostly AI. It creates these constantly. There's a few, but certainly not 90 of them are mine. I probably have to delete half of those because they're just like, I did this, check it out. You know, you can look at the code. So that's nothing. I did add a lot of Python stuff. Again, I don't think I had 23,000 lines or 80 files of Python stuff. That doesn't sound right at all. So there's stuff created again for the system. I probably had 10 Python files. Again, JSX is probably mine. That didn't actually go up that much. JavaScript went up even less. Where is JavaScript? Oh, weird. I did add a bunch of new filters. I wonder if I actually filtered JavaScript out accidentally. But on the whole, I went from about 60,000 lines of user-generated code to what now looks like about probably close to 150. So roughly 150,000 lines of additional code since May of last year. So I nearly tripled it since then. And a lot of that comes from once I got the base structure going, which was in the May range, I started duplicating parts to start creating new services. And a lot of that was just, you know, taking that same format and building a new service that does a slightly different thing. And then once I got an AI, I started adding a lot more pages, and each of these pages has their own code. And so a lot more scripts getting used, a lot more prefabs getting used. And those things all started adding to the overall. Now, as I refactor, that tends to bring things down, but it also makes things more efficient. And then as I continue to move forward again, I start adding a bunch more. I think it's realistic before the next year's up that I'll probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 250,000 lines of code, of my code, not just system generated. So another 100,000 lines in a year is probably pretty realistic. I haven't even finished a full year since I did this the first time. So I figure I'll probably be quite a bit more if I don't do too much more step back and refactor stuff. This is a bug, but I didn't want to mess with it right now, so I just took it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit stop. Oh, we're at 1 o'clock. What did I accomplish? Did I accomplish anything? I want to say I accomplished something before I anything. What did I accomplish? Bueller, anybody? I'm fixing things, but most of them aren't visual, and I want to have a visual fix. Can I restart my hub without breaking my Unity? I don't think I want to try. What? What service isn't running? Oh, user account. I gotta go start user account back up. Did it fix? Oh, I need to regenerate them? Okay. Usually it takes care of that, but apparently it doesn't feel like it. The things that Claude or any of the AIs will hand off to you seem a little erratic at times. Okay, so now we can go ahead and oh yeah, what did I do about the admin situation? Read, search, read, search for. I found the issue. There are multiple places. And calling fetch league settings without caching. Game card. Every time a player card is displayed and the pose image isn't cached, it fetches settings again. If reviewing a roster with many players, each card that needs to load a pose image will trigger a separate API call. The local database has the cache settings. Oh, is that what's doing it? Loop is caused by game card. Every time a player card is displayed and needs a character pose image that isn't in cache, it makes admin data. Okay. Interesting. All pose images should be loaded at startup. Therefore, game plan or playbook should never need to call the API for a post image. So now the question is, why is the UI failing to correctly use the load image function? Also update progress bars. Update. Gets system settings from local database after the initial sync. So only gets the system settings from local database after the initial sync of system settings, which I believe is already one of the things I've also been trying to do more and more as I pull data in, I'm trying to start build up the syncing process that puts all data that can run offline into the offline database, the local database. This will allow for the system to run whenever you don't have an internet connection. That's my goal. My ultimate goal is to allow people to run the game when they're not connected to the internet. To a point, I'm also building in some what do you call it? Fail safes. I want to call them fail safes to prevent people from breaking data. So I'm putting in some encryption keys to have the data. It won't synchronize to the back end if it's been broken. So every time, so basically it takes what data it expects to see, and it has this encryption key. So it has to map the encryption key before it can do the map, before it can do the sync. And any changes will force the system to regenerate encryption keys. So thus breaking the link, and it'll say something like, cannot sync recent offline data. And it'll just tell you can't sync recent offline data. So your recent changes will not be available online. And if anybody complains, it'll say, well, the only way that happens is if somebody tweaks data. Now, of course, if I have a bug in there that's doing it anyway and changing it itself, that'll be a problem. Hopefully, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. So anybody who's playing nice won't break their offline data. So, because it knows what to expect, what to change, what's valid. And it has basically a trail that allows it to know what's a valid update, what's not. That's the thing I'm building in to make sure that my data stays solid. Now, of course, keep in mind, though, that the only things that function offline are local stuff, like AI related stuff. So you cannot make changes to things that are part of a global league. For example, if there are people in your league, real people, not AI, that stuff's not available offline. You can't do anything with it. It's just a fail-safe to protect against cheaters. Most people will never notice the fail-safes because they're not cheaters, but there are cheaters out there who will try to figure out ways around the system. You know, like you can't do a quick play against other people, obviously, if you are offline, because people will try to break it. And therefore it will taint. And the problem is to other people, generally against others, you have to have, you can run quick plays offline. You just can't run them against other people. So you'll only run, so in other words, the game will allow you to run AI quick plays. And it'll give you a number of AIs, and then it refreshes them and sends them back. And then next time you sync, you'll get a different bunch of AIs. Maybe it'll give you 50 AIs, and you can run against all of them. And then when you connect again, it'll give you a different 50 AIs to work with. It's just for your own, something to do quick, beat up on other teams. And you may end up getting some of the same ones in the future, some maybe not, but you'll always get different ones. And if it's practical, I might give 100 or 200 or something where you just get a lot of them. And games run a little bit faster, so you can run them. Your offline leagues, which are all AI, can also be run offline. That's kind of what I'm saying. And your game plan can be edited offline. And it'll synchronize online, that kind of thing. So if you change in two places, though, offline's any item, the most recent online is the only one that's going to fix. So if you somehow keep your phone completely offline and there's changes on it that never got synced, and then you go to your PC and you decide to play on the PC while your phone is offline, any changes you make there are going to block any changes from your phone when it comes back online. It'll say the online services have changed since last sync. These changes will be lost. So it's always going to be a warning that comes with going offline. Make sure you synchronize before playing on any other device, because these days, this data, any data you play offline will be lost if you don't. So, like if you change your game plan in both places, you will lose all the changes you made offline because the one online will be the only one that works. If you, yes, all your quick plays will be lost if you played offline. So if you get on a losing streak, I guess you could try to block it, but your AI synchronizations won't come in because stuff changed. But it's only based on each thing. So if there was no changes to the game plan, it'll sync. If there was a change to a quick play, it won't sync. But just loading the other will block all your others. So you can lose everything you did offline because it's going to go, well, the online changed. Sorry, you broke it, man. So don't do that. I told you not to do that. I told you this would happen. All right. Where are we? I'm over my limit here. Time for me to call it. What did I do? Let's see here. What can I say I completed? I want to say I completed something. UI speaking. I don't think I completed anything UI speaking. I'm trying to get one thing up and going, but I keep finding new problems. Or new problems or problems I didn't know. I guess they're new to me. Like this, it's calling system settings for everything it does, so that's not good. I'm going to have to stop this because I don't like it. I should send a periodic clear of the console. I don't know. I just feel like every now and then you don't want that crap. All right, so we're going to go here, hit enter. And all right, what do we do? So we also have user account. Is that running? User account's running. Gateway's running. Everybody's running except admin, which I do need. So I have to, probably don't need this. Or this. Do our leagues teams, user account. How come I have two teams? Got bash teams. Clean up. Oh, is this? Oh, is this for testing? I must have ran the test. This is my test setup. Okay. That's fine. I mean, don't really need it. It was just me validating that the testing, unit testing I developed worked. Let's see, system settings, common test. Okay, so we're all good except for the admin is not running at the moment. Well, phooey. I was going to sign off because I need to do some other stuff, but I'm having trouble getting everything. All right, so he's looking at the back end. Mascot found faction mapping else. If players faction mapping failed, Joey mascot name causing the catch. Could be BRS Team Rouge instead of Joey. Huh? If players faction mapping failed, to debug, check unit logs for causing cache miss to debug. Check Unity logs for what cache key is logged when game card fails to find the pose. Compared to what was logged during loading startup. Check backlogs for warning no faction mapping. Alright, let's see what happens. It's saying it's done stuff. It's done stuff that supposedly is supposed to fix it. So we'll just start this up, try to get the admin thing back. And I've rebuilt the proto. You know what? I did rebuild the proto, but did I stop this? I don't remember stopping that in the gateway. And this is probably going to be fine because I haven't made a call to it yet. We'll restart, get those other two back up. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, I've regenerated the proto. I've restarted admin. And we should be able to move forward now. This is going to be changed. I got to get rid of this. I want it to move to a more happy view. I don't like things writing right on my board. Who is writing directly on the board? Use paper, please. Put up your papyrus with words on it. Do not put it directly on the announcement board. We are trying to keep things neat and tidy here. When your notification is no longer valid, you will have stained our announcement board. Please cease and desist, or you will be fined in order to pay for a new announcement board. And the constable will be notified. Where is my thing here? Go back here, go back here, go back to here. Copy. And paste. Log in. Which by the way, only sort of kind of in a way works. Huh? Oh, now it doesn't work at all. Well, frickin' frick. Frickin' frick. Arg. Argly margly. Okay, I gotta go offline. Time for me to start figuring out why things that were working half a second ago have ceased and desisted. Nope. 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 Now, login button on the login panel does not work at all. Completely broken. Doesn't even log in the user anymore. So frustrating. Okay, I'm